DHS is going to partner with regular foster care the way they already partner with therapeutic foster care and emergency foster care. It brings in a lead agency to take care of the day-to-day functions of the foster care, recruiting foster care parents, training them, case management, placement. DHS retains the oversight role of evaluation of the contracts for each of the lead agencies. Right now we plan to have 6 lead agencies that correspond to the 6 different districts that DHS has divided the state into. So we think that it takes the best aspects of both the private and the public entities, merges them, and helps us have the best foster care system in Oklahoma. The goals are really to achieve better outcomes in foster care. That means each of the lead agencies will have an outcome-based contract with DHS. In that, they will negotiate and come up with what is the goal, or what do we think we can achieve as far as reducing the number of foster care changes that occur. So a child doesn't go to 5 or 6 different foster cares before a fit is found. We also want to increase adoption rates. So really our goals are based on those. Our goal is not to save money on the front end. We expect to spend as much money as we are spending now in the system. But we do expect to save money on the back end with these increased goals that are met in terms of adoptions and permanency placements and different aspects. I think there's 2 different things. One is that we've seen other states begin to follow this path and with good outcomes. So I think that's the first impetus. Second impetus is also that we see with the lawsuit against DHS that there's some problems with the present system we have, and so I think this is a way to address both of those at once and really come up with a winner for our kids. This is the first time the bill's been introduced, first time we've looked at it, and expect it to go to the governor's desk and be signed into law. The bill asks for 2 other pairs of eyes to look at the process. Right now you still have DHS, which will be awarding the contracts and overseeing that the contracts are met the way that they're worded with outcome based. Second of all, we'll have a report to the legislature each year, so that each member of the legislature will be able to look at it and see how that is working out. And then third of all, we have a nationally recognized child care group that will look at our outcomes, look at our system, and evaluate to make sure that what we're doing is the best that can be done. So this adds 2 more layers of eyes looking at it, inspection, to make sure that the system is working correctly.
Okay. I mean, personally, what prompted you to write this bill? I know you mentioned about some of the problems we have in this.
Well, I have some friends in foster care. I've also, my wife and I ran a child care center for 7 years. I worked in student work for 20 years. So that's always been something that I've been interested in, and hopefully we can just get the best system for
Look at the African American students who don't get adopted, who are still waiting to be adopted. And as they move further up in age, after the age of 13, adoptions and foster care become less. So
I'll ask you a question. What would you say to somebody, because I brought this up many times around the people that I work with. Okay, what would you say to somebody that says, well, the government is just trying to run away from my practices? They know they're just always getting sued, and they wanted to shift that to somebody else.
Shift the burden of accountability.
I mean, I've heard that.
I don't think that's what we had in mind when we created this particular piece of legislation. That may very well be true. What we're trying to address is services being provided to those students who are in foster care currently. The rate is way too high. And if you look at where we stand nationally, as far as services being provided to foster care, we could stand to improve on our rating. This bill is not the intent to shift it, because the last thing leadership wants to do is shift responsibility to an agency that cannot do it, because then the liability still falls on the agency who contracted them.
Exactly.
You can't really sue the person.
I know. I mean, this is a very good bill, and it's going to be very difficult to find somebody who's going to say they don't like the bill.
That's correct.
But there's always some kind of opposition somewhere. Have you guys experienced any kind of opposition? Because I know it went through the committees already, and it already passed from stage. It's now in the Senate.
That's correct.
So, any kind of opposition through this?
Not on the House side. We didn't have very much opposition.
Not very much. So you have some.
Well, the concerns that I told you before is how do we justify privatizing services?
Okay.
Anytime there's a concern with new law is the regulation of it. We will have to ensure that minority-owned, minority-based businesses, businesses in rural areas with less of a smaller agency who can provide the same level of quality of care to certain students get a fair opportunity to contract with the Oklahoma Department.
You mentioned a lot about faith-based initiatives, faith-based,
community-based,
faith-based. You talked about faith-based,
right?
You know, a little bit,
right?
And I know that's part of. Is that more like part of the intention of the bill to get some churches involved in this? Because when I go back to the history of foster care,
exactly,
Christians, churches, they were the starter of this thing, and they actually used. I mean, they were the first people to actually do it, and then eventually we moved out of church. Is that part? I mean, I know what the politically correct thing is.
That's
what
correct.
The people will say, what the people will So, are we more like trying to kind of like get this back to where it was, so the people can take care of business themselves?
Yeah, what we want is we want to extract plans.
Okay.
We're not implementing anything. We want DHS to create a plan of who they can outsource to.
Okay.
We still have the ability as state legislators to look at those plans and say that's not doable because of the regulations with churches and the regulations with their way.
If you want to, you can just do the wrap up.
All right. I just want to say thank you for taking out the time to come and visit with us. We do have an open door policy where legislation is being made. It's very important that you participate in the process. Judges apply the law, attorneys interpret the law, and legislators create the law. We write the law. So we want to make sure that anytime you can establish a relationship with the legislator, please do so, because it's very vital, because we are wanting to work on a grassroots level and we respond to our constituents. So if you have a concern, please come back again.
I will.
Thank you so very much.
I'm going to give my email